other news in gaming, real quick. We're gonna go through this story. It's kind of like a two-parter. A big acquisition happened. Embracer Group, if you guys do not know,
Mhm.
they are a Swedish company that has made 62 acquisitions at the cost of $8.1 billion since 2020. Okay? Just think about that. All right. They just announced, and this comes by way of Video Games Chronicles Chris Skillian, that they will buy Square Enix's Western teams for $13 million, which means that when the deal is completed, Embracer, which is also owns companies such as THQ Nordic, Koch Media, Deep Silver, Saber Interactive, and Gearbox Software, that means when everything is complete, they will have 124 internal game development studios.
I forgot they bought Gearbox from
Yeah.
2K.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. So, real quick, just going to go through the
Oh,
quick
man.
points of this story. The deal will see Embracer Group acquiring Crystal Dynamics, Eidos Montreal, Square Enix Montreal, and the catalog of IPs, including Tomb Raider, Deus Ex, Thief, and Legacy of Kain. The total acquisition includes around 1,100 employees across 3 studios and 8 locations around the world. There's a couple other quotes and things like that, guys. Again, the link to the story will be in the bio or in the show notes. Adam, before getting into the Square Enix part, what are your thoughts on the whole Embracer part? Like, they just keep gobbling up companies, man. They just keep gobbling them up, and it's surprising
Yeah.
that nobody's like, we get people on Xbox's back about getting Activision Blizzard. Not to say that this is anything close to that. I'm not saying that. But with
Right.
over 124 internal game studios, like that is crazy, dude.
Yeah. Like how do they manage all of that? Like
I don't know.
I don't know. I just don't know how they manage all of that. But I guess if the thing with like Xbox, it's like, oh, well now those are going to be platform exclusive
Yeah,
or console exclusive. But Embracer isn't beholden to any console maker. So that
definitely.
stuff comes everywhere. So I think that's why they fly under the radar a little bit, but
Yeah.
also the fact that they don't like brand themselves in a way that like you're like thinking, oh yeah, that's an Embracer game,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
It's like, well, they like have multiple sub company like management systems. So like Saber Interactive, of course I've heard Saber
Yeah.
Interactive. I
Yeah.
forgot that they were under Embracer. You know, like,
Yeah.
uh, THQ Nordic. I know who they are. I
Yeah.
forgot that. Like sometimes I forget they're under Embracer. And so I think that that part kind of lets them fly low. And then of course they're not, I mean, they're not Tencent, right? So it's
Yeah.
like I don't necessarily have like political qualms with them
Exactly. Yeah.
for any reason. So do I think it's? I don't know. Do I think it's great that they're buying up everyone? I probably not, unless it means that developers get the same business and make games with
Yeah.
like little over or not overhead, but little while retaining like creative freedom.
Yeah.
Then sure,
Yeah.
I'm glad that they're an option for people who studios that need to get acquired to
Definitely.
survive, I guess.
Definitely.
So
I think what's interesting, and I don't have a story pulled up. This is just from what I've heard from other stories that companies or and studios that have been acquired by Embracer so far seem to have good things to say. That it's just a company with a lot of money that gives a lot of freedom. Like they do have certain aspects of the company, like you are remaking or remastering old games, like the SpongeBob, the Bikini Bottom game
yeah,
that was from
rehydrated.
Embracer. Like,
Yeah.
and we have, I think, TMNT, the thing that's going on with TMNT, the remasters. I believe that's also a subsect of Embracer. So we get in all these remasters of games from these companies that they're like throwing the money at. Here's the money, go make your game. And these smaller studios that at one point were struggling just to make ends meet are now acquired. They're given a lump sum and they're like, okay, cool, let's go make that game. And I know that they supposedly said that they have like, what is it, around 15 to almost 20 AAA games in development. Like it's
Hmm.
astonishing. And I mean, honestly, like you said, I want to reiterate, it's not Tencent. It's not the Saudi Arabia family. It's like at least they seem like they're on good terms with a lot of other things. So I mean, good on them. They got Tomb Raider, Deus Ex, Thief. Like these are some good IPs. And on top of that, Crystal Dynamics literally just announced last month that the next Tomb Raider game has entered development and is being made on Unreal Engine
Mhm.
5. So that game's going to be an Embracer Group game. So it's just interesting. I can't wait to see what this turns out to be and what this will become. And maybe Tomb Raider can see another new breath of life. Maybe they're able to put even more money into it or whatever it is. So I'm excited for that. Before we move on, Adam, did you get any info on something that we're looking for or no?
Well, I'm trying to, because I think the TMNT Cowabunga edition, or Cowabunga collection, I think is still from Konami. But
Okay.
then I looked
Okay.
at Shredder's Revenge, which is being made by, I don't remember who it says developed by, but then that's published by Emu. But then they're a subsidiary of Focus Entertainment, and I'm pretty sure that Focus Entertainment does tie back to Embracer Group, but I'm having trouble finding that and proving that, because guess what? This is extremely complicated.
Exactly. Exactly. They do a good job to let you know it's not an Embracer Group. Um, Well, this story continues, guys, because with this, what was interesting is that when this whole thing was going on, people were asking, all right, well, Square Enix, you're selling this stuff off. What are you going to do with the money? And originally, and this again, it comes from Video Games Chronicles, Andy Robinson. This is what he writes. In an official statement, Square Enix said at the time that the deal would let it focus, at the time, the deal will let it focus on investments in blockchain, AI, and the cloud. Now, just pause there. When I saw that, I was like, guys, you're telling me right now you're selling these companies, these developers to focus on AI, blockchain, and the cloud. Like the blockchain,
Mhm.
I'm sure you guys can write it off in the comments and just tell me how dumb I am. I still don't quite understand it. AI, I guess I can get it. Cloud, I guess I can. Like, what are you trying to do? Square Enix Plus? Like, I don't know what they're trying to do here. But either or, that was originally what they said. That's what they led with. And then a couple weeks later, in some financial results, the Final Fantasy publisher was able to further explain its reasoning behind the sell offs. It said that the sales would allow to achieve sustained growth through, quote, selection and concentration of company resources, end quote, better aligning overseas publishing operations with its Tokyo HQ and focusing on new businesses such as blockchain, AI, and the cloud. Now, practically, to sum that up, they're practically saying they're trying to focus all their efforts with everything inland, everything in Japan. They wanted to break themselves away from their Western companies, and they just want to make sure that they can oversee everything in Japan. Makes sense. I get that. I mean, we've seen struggles have been happening with Crystal Dynamics over Marvel's Avengers and all
Mhm.
these random things. Now we can point the finger that developer shouldn't have even made that game in the first place, but that's neither here nor there. We can keep going on that. Just to finish this off, the company said it intended to reshape its digital entertainment portfolio, partly through creating new IP, speeding up decision making through an integrated group management, and by, quote, boosting game development capabilities by establishing new studios, M&A, which means mergers and acquisitions, etc. Adam, was this a good deal for Square Enix, and is there a reasoning? Does it make sense to you?
It honestly does, because it's not about the money. For It's really not about the money, because for 300 million, um, which I know, crazy amount of money, but in terms of video game, uh, studio acquisition, IP sales, like that's basically chump changed,
Yeah,
like right now.
yeah,
Like even before this whole spree began, I think Insomniac was bought for just under 300 million,
yeah,
and people
yeah.
look back and are like, "Whoa, that's so
Exactly.
cheap." And it's
Exactly.
like, so the fact that not only did they get what, 3 studios, but they got lots of IP associated with that too for that price. It's not about, "Oh, we need an influx of cash." It's more of like a, "Hey, we are terrible at managing our studios overseas, and
Yeah,
it's causing us to bleed money. We need to just get these guys out of our org right now."
yeah,
Even though, like, they're good developers, like, Eidos Montreal,
yeah,
like, Guardians of the Galaxy is really good.
yeah.
Crystal Dynamics, I know Avengers did not show for it, but like they can make really good games. They made lots of great Tomb Raider games, and their history goes way back further than that. And it's like it's always seemed like Square Enix has had no idea what their like North American teams are doing.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Galaxy should have been Guardians of the Galaxy should have been like promoted way more than it was because it was actually a good game. And then it's like Adventures. It's like, how did you go like so far down the path,
Yeah.
not knowing like
Yep.
what was going to happen?
Yep.
So from that standpoint, I could see it's like, look, this is just more. We're in over our heads managing these studios. Let's not worry about riding the ship. It's like, let's cut our losses and get them out of here and focus in on our core, which, as you mentioned, is their Japan like
Definitely.
studios and their Japan locations. Um,
Which I think is
blockchain,
smart. It's smart to
yes,
focus
yeah,
everything
yeah,
in line. Yeah.
yeah. I know, they talk about blockchain here or mention blockchain, and it's like I really hope that they're not going like the whole NFT route. But there is a lot that cloud and AI can really bring, and I feel like we've talked about that on a previous episode. So like those are potentially really good investments for them to make in terms of like improving the systems that their games can use.
Yeah.
How is blockchain going to get used for that? I don't know, but
Yeah.
I'm sure someone is going to do something and 10 years from now we'll be like, "Oh yeah." I mean, maybe it won't, maybe it'll suck, but like, cloud and AI have really come a long way in terms of being able to um improve the systems of your games without having to expend tons and tons of effort and dev time on them.
Definitely.
So,
Definitely. I did bring this up on our Slack, and I've seen some people talk about it a little bit. By selling off these portions of their company. Now, I know that they said that there is hopes of either creating new IP, studios, or mergers and acquisitions to build the Japan area, which means if they do a merger and acquisition, it's going to be in Japan. That's the point. It's all staying in Japan. If they create a new IP in a studio, it's going to be in Japan. They're not going to go outside of it, stay there. I did make the point that by selling off the Western arm of Square Enix, technically, technically, it makes them a little cheaper to be bought. Now, rumors have been circulated. These are just rumors. I think these are the most shallow rumors ever. This is just wishful thinking at this point because I think Square Enix is really strong right now. Final Fantasy 14, humongous. We're getting ready to ramp up for Final Fantasy 16 and Forspoken. These are going to be some bangers. So I think they're okay. But there's been the idea of PlayStation acquiring Square Enix, which again, we've already talked so much, you and I, on this show. We're not for these mergers and acquisitions all too much. Does that merger and acquisition make sense? It does. It makes a lot of sense. Do I want that to happen? Not necessarily. But if it did, it makes a lot of sense to happen with PlayStation. I know PlayStation has said that they are not done. They still have some more acquisitions they want to make. So, do you think, Adam, it's possible that they're like, Square? Hey, you know that little M&A part, the mergers and acquisitions? Yeah, you're merging with us. That's what that means. What do you think?
no, I don't think that because for $300 million, the PlayStation would have just bought them pre-selling off these studios.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, oh man, there are good studios, there are good IP that are available there. It's like PlayStation wouldn't let that go to waste. I feel like they wouldn't let that go to waste if that were the case, and I don't know, man. Plus, I feel like it's more of Square wanting to buy other people or maybe do a lateral merge, like Square and Enix did back in the day.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't think they're necessarily. I don't imagine that after selling these studios off for such a cheap price that they're really willing to be bought out by someone.
Definitely. I mean, we're living in a world right now, and these are not even in the news stories. EA is trying to be bought out.
Yeah.
Ubisoft is trying to do something to not get it taken away from them, from the Guillemot family. Like, this is happening all over the place, and everyone is like in high alert. And so there's been this thing with the Japanese studios that it's not more of like a purification kind of thing, but I don't think they want to be taken from like I don't think anyone other than Platinum, who straight up said they want to be, I don't think anyone in Japan wants to be acquired by a Western studio at all. I don't think so. And if it were to happen, they want it to be done in Japan. Sony is a Japanese company. PlayStation, Japanese company.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that will happen, but I think what will be interesting is how Square and Enix became Square Enix, and then Koei Tecmo, or not Koei Tecmo, and then all these other things. It'll be interesting if we saw this initiative where all these Japanese studios are just like let's all merge into one, and then we're like Square, Capcom, Enix, Sega, whatever the heck you want to call it. I don't know.
I was thinking more of a Play Square Enix station, but
Nice. Hey, there you go. It's going.